Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Scorpio in February 2020. What's going on, Scorpio? How are you guys doing? I hope you are doing well. All right, guys, January, it's over. How was it? Did you have a good time? First month of the new year is wrapped up. I hope you guys had an amazing first month of the year, and I hope you have continual amazing months throughout 2020 and of course the rest of your life. What is the point of wishing ill will on anybody? It doesn't serve you or them or anything in this life, so don't do it. Now, but you can do what you want. You're an individual, right? Welcome to February, Scorpio. I hope you guys, if you're celebrating Valentine's Day, I hope you have an amazing time. I'm wishing you a happy one. If you're not celebrating, if you're kind of bah humbug on that day, on that holiday, quote unquote holiday, I also wish you a happy Valentine's Day too. For me as an adult, as I've matured over the years a little bit, not in all ways, I'm quite immature in so many ways, but over the years, I've kind of expanded my view on Valentine's Day, and it's kind of like, it's beyond romantic love. It's just all kinds of love, platonic, familial, romantic, and any other type of love there is. And so if you're not celebrating it romantically, or you don't care about it in the romantic sense, hopefully you're able to appreciate it and share love and affection amongst friends and family and, you know, just your fellow man if you can. If you're definitely a crabapple about it, or if that's okay, I'm sending it towards you regardless, okay? So that's just my little spiel about the quote-unquote holiday, because I don't really view it as a holiday. It's just a day, right? But whatever. I hope it goes well for you guys. All right, Scorpio, shuffled off camera. That is your main spread there. I'm going to shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. Timestamp is in the description box below if you want to jump ahead. Also down there is the information you need if you want to get a personal with me. You just let me know what kind of reading you want. I say A-OK, you pay me through PayPal, and then I give you a private uploaded video here on YouTube. But if you have a question regarding some other aspect of ordering, or if you want to clarify something before you place an order, you can email me at the same address, and I will answer you as soon as I can, okay? And remember, guys, please like, share, subscribe, and comment, all that fun stuff. It really helps the channel grow, and it really shows support for me as a reader if you're not able to either make a donation through PayPal or purchase a reading through PayPal, okay? All right, guys, let's get into it. I want to see Scorpio's outcome for February 2020. Please show me Scorpio's outcome for February 2020. Please show me. Everything's falling to the floor today. Why? That's more with me in the universe and yet less to do with you, Scorpio. So where's the card? There it is. Came falling to the floor just like that. Let's go ahead and flip what came face down for you. Ah, cut these nails. And now I can't do anything. Oh. All right. It's not as straight as I would like it to be, these cards, but I'm going to have to live with it. Actually, that might look okay. Yeah, it looks okay. We did it. All right, Scorpio, let's see what's going on. Please show me where Scorpio is in February 2020. Please show me Scorpio in February 2020. Please show me. Okay, thank you. Hey now, Scorp, what you doing? All right, guys, coming into February, you come in with the High Priestess. Hello. Major Arcana for Cancer. Some of you, or excuse me, secondary Major Arcana for Cancer. Thank you. Some of you could be dealing with the Cancer, but you don't have to be. Man, you know something. You know it. This is about intuition. This is about, you know, possibly connecting to your higher selves, your angels, your guides, your spiritual team leaders, or your spiritual guru, whatever you perceive to be outside of this specific world, this specific existence, or at least not outside of, but the tether, the line between you and whatever you believe exists beyond Earth, right? You know, I don't know your specific beliefs, but I like to make room for everybody to have, you know, something here that they can find resonance with. Now, this is like, it's like that, what do you call that? Lifeline? Like if we were playing, what's that game? who wants to be a millionaire, right? It's that lifeline thing where it's like call a friend. Like this is the call a friend option. Some of you might literally be calling your friends. Some of you might have friends who are in the esoteric space, tarot readers, psychics, mediums, just people who have more spiritual or esoteric leanings in this world, less scientific minded people, or not to say that they wouldn't be scientifically minded, but they're open at least. So if you are literally calling someone in the physical world, you're literally communicating with someone in the physical world, this person is a channeler or someone who's open to the metaphysical, okay? If they don't practice it exclusively, or it's not part of their job, it's not part of their career, it's not even a side hustle, they would at least just be open-minded to it. Now, regardless of whether this is someone on your spiritual team, someone who works for you, or that you're attached to, again, tethered to on the other side, or if this is someone in this actual world who is like that in their own way, the base of this is there is a knowing. There's this deep, wow, what's that? Oh my God, that's very large. They're showing me like a huge cavern, and to kind of give you a more realistic visual of what I can't even explain what the hell that was. Something like the Grand Canyon, like a huge, deep, cavernous space in a terrain, in the terrain, and in there is just like the space. Okay, thank you. The space that the Grand Canyon like would occupy. If suddenly overnight the Grand Canyon was full of water, that's a fuckload of water, right? That's what this is. Whatever exists in that cavern, which is not actual water, but whatever could exist there, that's what this high priestess is attached to. She's attached to even bigger than that in terms of tarot. It's bigger than the Grand Canyon, but the access to knowledge, the access of knowingness or realization or insight, again, through an intuitive space is there. And I think Scorpio, number one, being a water sign, possibly argumentatively, or debatably, I guess, more than argumentatively, debatably, might be the most intuitive of the water signs. That's up for debate, and you can make a case for it or against it. But I think in some of your cases, you're now like really getting into that space for the first time, or in a significant way, if not the first time, and it's blowing your mind. Or it's about to blow your mind. I think that's okay. Thank you. Some of you might be realizing I'm the channeler. Not me, you. You might be waking up going, Eureka, it's me, or aha, it's me. You might not know as of yet, but maybe you have begun to receive hits and insights that are showing you, much like, as if you were Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, you were the one. You know what I mean? Now I'm not trying to say like you're a messiah or anything like that, but where you were wanting or needing or trying to understand your own spiritual side or your own intuitiveness, your relationship to that aspect, or that relationship to those capabilities or abilities, it's not to do with other people, or it's not to do with any outside influence on you. It's from within, right? It's from within. And that's the thing about the high priestess. It's from within. If there's any quote unquote, I guess, lesson or advice that you could take from the high priestess, if you want her knowledge, it comes from within. It's a weird thing. The high priestess is this external source, or this person or vision or thing that we can conceive of externally, but she doesn't exist externally. She exists internally. I hope that makes sense. Like, as much as we might pray to gods or angels or anything quote unquote external that exists beyond us, what we're actually doing is praying or meditating or giving or seeking clarity from something that already exists within us. And that to me is more, for me personally, my understanding of like cosmic existence and all that kind of stuff, and what I conceive. I can get it because I've worked on this for a few years now. And I'm not saying like you have to believe it the way I do, but that's how I can best describe it to you in the way that they're expressing it to me. It exists both outside of you and inside of you. However, the kicker here for some of the Scorpios that I'm connecting to is that you didn't realize it existed in you as well. You always thought it was outside of yourself, whatever it is. It meaning the high priestess, your intuition, being able to access or understand your intuition. Some of you, okay, thank you. Some of you have relied on, you know, spiritual leaders, both religious and non-religious, both secular and non-secular, whatever it is. And you have always sort of outsourced it. If I need answers, it has to be from someone else. Or I need, like I said, you might have a friend or you might have a trusted advisor who is a psychic or who is a tarot reader or who is a medium or whatever. And you've always relied on that person or gone to that person to kind of get you through a tough time or get some insight, get some clarity. But really, you don't need him, okay? See, now we're getting into what I personally believe. And I don't want to cross that line per se, but I'm just going to say here, I don't ever believe, I've never believed this, ever. And I'm not religious, and I don't mean to offend, but I've never really believed that if there is a God, you need anybody to tell you what that God says. I've never believed that. And now I'm going to back away from that because we could go down a whole thing there. But essentially, for me, the idea of religion or the idea of religious leaders or churches and synagogues and temples and just like a collective of people having to agree that this is the way you access God. No, I don't think so. I feel that whatever there is above us, quote unquote, you can get there on your own. And I think that that's what this is. A lot of you are realizing I don't need another person to tell me what is best for me or what I need to do in this situation. I don't need someone to interpret my own dreams or my own intuitive hits. I can interpret them myself. I mean, you might, Google a couple of things. What does it mean when I keep seeing 111? What does it mean when I keep seeing this? What does it mean if I keep seeing blue jays everywhere I go? You might Google stuff and you might get you might get a little help. But if that doesn't resonate to you, let's say to see a blue jay, it means that you're talking about somebody or the situation. I have no idea what a blue jay is. I'm just going to say something. Like if if you see blue jays, it means like, oh, your money's going to go, your money is soaring and money will increase for you. If you don't think that's true, or if it's not pertaining to your life, you can discern whether or not that is for you. Does that make sense? I don't know. There's something here about some Scorpios, not all, are coming to this realization that what they need or what they have been seeking outside of themselves, maybe some type of affirmation. You don't need it from another person. You don't need it from an external source. The source is already within you. That's kind of what I'm getting. Where did my music go? 1 second. Okay. I don't know what's going on, but that thing is being really tricky. Anyway, so Scorpio, this thing that you're seeking, this knowledge, insight, clarity, affirmation, whatever it is. And if it's not that you've always sought it outside of yourself, there we go. Thank you. If you haven't always sought it outside of yourself, it has been ignored, or you were unaware that you had access to it. Does that make sense? Yeah, thank you. They're not telling me it makes sense for you. They're just telling me like that is also here. Is that some of you, maybe you never were interested in, I feel as though what's that? Numbing. Okay. Okay. So in some cases, which would make sense also, is that because of certain things that have transpired in your life, Scorpio, some of you have put yourself into a space of numbness or suspension, static energy, where you're not disbelieving and you're not believing. You're just about the whole thing. You're about the potentiality of you being a spiritual person or you being a spiritually inclined entity on earth, or you being religious, or you believing in whatever you believe in or don't believe in, right? Some of you have kind of isolated yourselves from that train of thought, from that connectivity, and it feels as though you're being switched on after a long period of being switched off, or always being off. Like never in your life have you considered the possibility of this, that, or the other, and now you're kind of opening up to, well, maybe this, maybe that. What does this school of philosophy say? What does that religion say? What do these spiritual leaders say? What does, what's that guy's name? Abraham Hicks say? What does Abraham Hicks say? What does everybody say? And you're kind of like looking at all the different sources. And again, I still feel like there's this idea that some Scorpios, their mind is being blown by, oh, all that is out there. But really what I'm seeking, what I want to understand about myself or my situation or my circumstances actually is already within me. I don't need anybody else's insight. I can rely on myself. Very interesting. So that's a deep place to start. And it's interesting because it feels very new. It feels so fresh to me. I don't know what you're getting into specifically. I don't know in what ways you're going to dedicate yourself to this exploration or be open to it. You're all going to be experiencing it in different ways, in different intensities, but the freshness and newness of that high priestess is very poignant or very palpable. Like I can take, it's weird, but, this is not something I regularly do, but sometimes I can taste or smell things, and this tastes like fresh, like herbs or something. It's like, oh my God, I've never tasted. There you go. You've never tasted something like this before. You're tasting it now for the first time. You're like, oh my God, this is great. Or, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. Or, oh my God, I'm a little skeptical or I'm a little off put by this, but I'm also intrigued, which I think is something Scorpios normally do. I'm a little off put, but I'm still going to explore this, or I'm still curious about this, even though I'm a little bit off put. Okay. So what happens next, or what else is going on? Well, here we go. Here comes the complication. Jay's readings always come with complications. Okay, yes. This is unlike you, or unbefitting. Unbefitting to your situation and circumstances. Whatever's going on with the high priestess is like starkly contrasted with your reality. Okay, meaning Seven of Swords, right? Yes, thank you. Seven of Swords, Scorpio. Some of you might be doing, exploring whatever the high priestess is to you. If this is, you talking to psychics or mediums and tarot readers or anybody else, you might be doing it in secret. Like you might come from a situation, oh my God, what the fucking focus. You might come from a situation or family or workplace that discourages that kind of behavior, doesn't understand it, finds it to be kind of sinful or devilish or unbelievable. All those people in that, there's no such thing as a psychic, there's no such thing as this, how could you believe that, like they're skeptical. Their skepticism has not frightened you, but it's conditioned some of you to kind of be skeptical yourselves, or to be embarrassed and shameful about your interest in this work, or to be, frightful of your own abilities. Because like I said, that high priestess in some form or fashion, Scorpio, for you is already in you. It's going to vary in different ways for everybody. Some of you are your own mediums. You are your own, tarot reader. You already are very masterful, or you have the potential to be masterful in this space, right? Others of you, you're just like, casually open to it, right? Regardless of what you're experiencing, there's this element of you have to be secretive about it with the Seven of Swords, right? You can't just rush out and tell, your friends or your family, hey, I think I'm going to start doing XYZ, or I think I'm going to start studying XYZ, or I'm really open to, or even just the idea of expressing like, okay, thank you, here we go. Like, let's say you've been having like really intense dreams, or like very vivid dreams, right? Synchronicities of a sort, dreams are synchronicities, these are just examples. You're all going to have personalized synchronicities, like things that work for me don't work for other people, and vice versa. Like maybe the color, purple means something to you, and everywhere you go, you see people wearing, purple is a common color, but it's not as common as say like a red or a black or a blue, right? Something like that. Purple, fuchsia, like these colors that exist and are recognizable, but you don't usually see them. But you know, you're walking down the street going to work, or you're running errands one day and you see somebody driving a purple car. How often do you see purple cars? Like, unless you're in Minnesota and you're driving past like Prince's estate, you know, it's probably uncommon to see a purple car. But you see the color purple over and over and over again. And it's, for whatever reason, the color purple means something to you. The color purple. Anyway, so that is a synchronicity to you. It means something to you. And you want to tell your friends, hey, I keep seeing the color purple. Purple cars, people wearing purple shoes. And then I went to the donut shop the other day, and, you know, for Valentine's Day, like, they were making pink donuts, but it came out kind of purplish and da-da-da-da-da. And your friends would look at you like you've got 16 heads. Like, what are you talking about? Purple what? Like, who cares? It doesn't mean anything. It's just a coincidence. Some people want to brush it up to just a coincidence. I'm letting you know, friend, it's not. And you already know that, so I don't need to tell you anyway. But you have to behave, or some of you are behaving in a way of, yeah, it's just a coincidence. I'm being silly. Or, you know, some of you are a little more influenced by people's skepticism, and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I am thinking too much into it. Or maybe I'm, you know, that is kind of crazy. What am I saying? What am I doing? Nah, I can't be that. Shut up, friend, and believe in yourself and believe in what you're being led to. Now, that's just an example, the idea of the color purple or any type of color. Some of you, it's going to be songs. Some of you, it's numbers. Some of you, it's names and places or certain specific references, like, or dates or something like that. You know what I mean? It's going to be different for all of you. But whatever you're seeing, there is this idea of, I have to sneakily believe it. I can't expressively, openly believe it. I can't shout it from the rooftops. I'm getting confirmations about what I'm feeling and understanding on an intuitive level. Yay! Because people will look at you like you're fucking crazy. So to avoid all that, you keep it hush hush. Yeah? And God, it's probably not going to focus, but all right, you see this figure, you see this woman, how she's leaving that temple, she's leaving that place of like, I don't want to say holiness, but there is like this aspect of like things kind of being run of the mill or predictable within that building, right? And she's leaving, and she doesn't look happy to be leaving. She looks like sorrowful, like, oh man, I wish I could go back into the temple, or I wish I could go back into this building and express myself and be accepted. There we go, accepted. I wish I could be accepted the way I am, or with what I'm thinking in terms of swords, what I want to communicate. I want it to be easily accepted, but within that building, within that structure, within the confinements of that belief system, that family life, that work life, whatever the hell we're talking about, you know, or you have experienced, there's going to be resistance to what you're bringing to the table. So you take your swords and you leave. Seven of Swords is not typically interpreted that way, but this is what this feels like. It feels like Scorpio has to remove themselves in some form or fashion, or segment themselves, thank you, segment a part of themselves away from others because of the resistance and the rejection they will experience if they were to be so open with it. Okay. For others of you, like, they just boom right in my face. Sexuality. For some of us, for some of you, it's going to be about sexuality or about the way you express yourself. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh. Okay, sure. I could see that. That's very specific. And I don't know if it'll play for any of you. I don't know how many people will end up watching this video, but there's like a strong singular thread here where someone is possibly like asexual, and that is a mind-blown thing for the person to experience. And if they, yeah, I don't know much about it. What I do know is that it is a viable form of sexuality and a form of expressing yourself in those ways, and asexual is a real thing. And a lot of people are very skeptical of it. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people just think it's nonsense, or they think it's, you know, it's hiding a deeper like trauma. And I think no, legit, some people literally are that way. And because it's not easily accepted or understood, someone avoids talking about it, and they just, yeah. So whoever that's for, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I can't properly articulate it, but hopefully it gives you affirmation or gives you some type of clarity. But I feel like that's on the table here for someone. But I think the bulk of the message really is more about your spiritual beliefs, religious beliefs, your understanding, and you know what you're coming to believe about the existence of life or the existence of humanity, whatever it is. So we keep it hush hush. That's not true. I mean, the aspect of things being quiet is there in the Seven of Swords. You know, typically Seven of Swords, we're talking about lies, deceit, and all that kind of stuff. And maybe some of you are doing that. You know, maybe someone's asking you, oh, what are you doing this Thursday? Oh, I'm going to go and take a rock climbing class. And then no, you're actually going to like a chakra circle or something like that. You found like this thing on like Groupon. It's like, come open your chakras with us, $25. And you're like, yes, I want to do that. And instead of telling your friends that's what you did, you're like, rock climbing, axe throwing, taking tennis lessons. You know, you're not truly saying what you're doing. Some of you. So that's interesting. And I laugh because I'm just like, I feel like somebody is like caught in the moment. Oh, what'd you do Thursday night? I did tap. I took a tap lesson, tap dancing. That's what I did. I took tap. It's like, why did I say fucking tap? I've never. I'm sorry. But that's what it feels like. It feels like someone's caught off guard by the question and they didn't prepare for such a question, such a simple question. What'd you do Thursday night? I was not opening up my chakras. I was not speaking to my higher selves. I didn't do anything like that. I was tap dancing, Larry, okay? It's like that. So anyway, let's move on here. So what happens next? Okay. Yeah, so you got to have... Oh... It's been very hard for you to come to this point, Scorpio. It's been very hard. Is that right? Is that right? Yes, that's right. But like, which one? Oh. Yeah, man, you've been like dead, for lack of a better word. Because I mean, look at this guy. If he ain't dead, he's got quite a resilient body. But 10 swords in the back, left on a rooftop. Yeah. That's a way of being dead. Now, I'm not literally saying, obviously, you, Scorpio, are dead. Oh. Some of you are dealing with death, though. Oh. Ah. Okay, well, right now? Okay, yes. They're like, yeah, you got it. Okay, so some of you are dealing with a particular loss of a person. Either physically you've lost them, or you know you've lost a connection in this life. You don't speak anymore, but there has been a certain end to a relationship, particularly where a lot of things were said or needed to be said, and that just did not happen, and so you have to kind of deal with it. And okay, sure. It's like sour. Yeah. This is okay. This is not the best, but this is what it's coming across as. There's like some sour energy, sour grapes, you know, bad taste left in the mouth, like just not pleasantry or not pleasant to have experienced whatever this is. The removal of a person, possibly forcibly, like in some of your cases, like I'm feeling like, you know, someone like left town, skipped out on you, or whatever it is, or went to prison type of situation. Like I said, in some cases, it is about the loss of a person through death. You know, they are no longer in this world or whatever it is, right? And that loss, however permanent, in whatever form or fashion, is unpleasant, is the sour grapes, because either we, like some of you, the last words you said to this person or the last bit of communication before you ghosted them or they ghosted you was a lot of volatile, vicious stuff, okay? And that is just like not the best way to leave a situation with argumentative intentions or words, you know. So the ending is unpleasant and sour and leaves a lot of you in this despondent place. And is that right? It's right. They're like, that's right. Why? Maybe not why, but or maybe that's how some of you are feeling. Why is that right? And you're kind of angry about it. Like, how could that be right? And I'm like, okay, because she's next door. Thank you. Because she's next door. That's what it's supposed to be. Listen. Oh, duh. As soon as I put it down, they're like, you get it? Okay, got it. Okay. Scorpio. And I think many of you will be able to attach to this or understand this. As painful, upsetting, displeasing, irritating, angering, frustrating, depressing, whatever experience you had here in the Ten of Swords, which you're very aware of. It could have happened recently, could have happened 10 years ago. It doesn't matter. Whatever this catalyst moment is, you get the emotion behind it. That emotion, the mindset it puts you in, the situations it's put you in, the path that it has put you on is what you needed to do. Yeah? It had to be that way so that you could connect with the High Priestess. Whether that be, again, an outside person, a friend, a confidant, not a counselor, but somebody that you go to for counsel, somebody that you go to, or again, what I think is more the point, what exists already within you, what may have been dormant, what may have been repressed, what may have gone unacknowledged, what may have been, this is the first time you've ever experienced this, or whether you have been regularly suppressing that side of yourself. You needed that catalyst moment in the Ten of Swords, whatever it was, however painful it was, to get into contact with the High Priestess, whatever it is, however you experience it. That sounds like bullshit to many of you. You're like, what? That was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life, Ten of Swords, right? I don't want to have to experience pain and frustration and loss in order to get to some higher whatever. Some of you are just like, ugh, that's stupid. I'm letting you know, if you were ever interested in or if you were ever interested now, or whatever your interest is, or whatever you need from the High Priestess, you couldn't have gotten there without the Ten of Swords. Okay? To put it another way, or maybe not another way, but okay, thank you. It feels like an inconvenience. Like some of you are just like, why? Why not just have a direct route? Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. So this is going to sound really like arbitrary or whatever, but I'm using it to illustrate the point. Let's say you're driving to work, your regular route, whichever regular way you go. And for whatever reason, there's a road closure, or you get stuck behind a really slow semi-truck or something like that, and you're looking at the clock and you're like, oh my God, and you're like honking your horn, like I want to go this way, I want to get around this guy, but it's one lane, I can't get around. Or maybe, you get stuck behind a delivery truck and it stops or whatever, and you're like, okay, I can't sit here and wait for the driver to get back in the truck and move. Let me turn left or right and go down another road, blah, 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 right? That seems like an inconvenience to you. You're like, why did I have to go through that in order to get to my destination, my direct route, the fastest route? This detour that you have to take somehow benefits you. Now, I'm not going to say, but what they're showing me is if you had gone down your direct route, there may have been an accident up ahead, which you may have been involved in, or which may have delayed you more. But to stay on time for work, you took a detour, right? If you had gone down the road and continued to follow the semi-truck, maybe the semi would have gotten involved in an accident, which may or may not have involved you, right? And if there was an accident in front of you, the 10-minute delay that you would have experienced would have turned into a 2-hour delay. Does that make sense? So there's something about this detour. Somehow there's a detour involved in the Ten of Swords that is beneficial to you. You will make it to your destination. You'll make it to work on time, or 5 minutes late, nothing too terrible, versus the 2-hour delay. Does that make sense? There's something about, I don't want to use that word, acceptance. Thank you. because the word was appreciation. I'm like, I'm not trying to tell Scorpio to appreciate loss. I mean, some of you might, but I'm going to say more. There's something about accepting the loss and realizing that it's still not taking you off track. You're still going to make it to the High Priestess energy, or get in touch with that, because I think, again, that's kind of where you are and that's what you want. And some of you are thinking this is a deterrent to it. No. This is the springboard. This is the catalyst. This is the jump off point. That loss is letting you in. The loss lets you in. Interesting. And the other thing that we talk about in tarot with the tens is that they're culmination points, right? It's the end of the road. You know, you can't get much more final. Oh, with this damn focus friend. You can't get too much more final than 10 swords in the back. Like, that's kind of a done deal. Yeah. You know, if that's a betrayal, some of you, in some of your cases, this is a deep betrayal on part of a family member, a friend, a loved one, whatever. And, you know, things will never be the same between you and them. Things will never be the same on your side of things. You know, it could have been a very vicious, very, very tumultuous ending. Yeah. Again, this is beyond mortal death. For some of you, it is definitely about mortal death. But that's a smaller portion of people. The majority of people, this is some type of severing of ties. This is some type of breakup. This is some type of, you know, lost connection, ghosting another person, or they ghosted you, and, or like I said before, abandonment from like 10, 15, 20 years ago. Your parent, you know, your mom or your dad or whoever, you know, skipped town, you know, maybe the rock of your family, your grandfather, who had always been the strong patriarchal energy in your family. Maybe out of nowhere, he just up and left, and your family fell to pieces after that. There's something about that trauma letting you in to the High Priestess. Wow. You guys always get the deep shit with me. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at my experience as the reader. Because, like, Scorpio, I haven't had a light reading for you guys in forever. I would love to have one for you, but it kind of never happens, my friends. Now, what else happens? So, yes, you get the rebound. Ooh. Strength card above the Ten of Swords. So, major arcana for Leo. Some of you could be dealing with a Leo, but you don't have to be. You get the rebound in the sense of, you know, the Strength card in tarot asks you to look at your most fearsome adversary, whether that be an actual person, whether it be a situation or a circumstance, whether it be something, you know, cosmically, or something to do with your own personal psychology or your own internal issues, or whatever it is. Whatever is the most adversarial person, place, thing, situation, time in your life, and you face it. Yeah, you face it. Scorpio, you are definitely capable. Look at the woman on the card in front of that lion, which could, you know, tear her limb from limb easily. She probably nothing but $1.15, something like that, right? So the lion, even with a hurt paw, could tear this, but she is confidently exchanging, maybe not exchanging, but she's confidently engaging, thank you, engaging with this animal, engaging with this wild beast, confidently, securely, without fear, helping to heal this wounded animal, right? With the paw being, you know, I guess, what are we supposed to think? It's like that thorn in the paw kind of thing, right? So I think many of you Scorpios are becoming braver, are becoming more secure and willing to stand in your truth, stand in your light. Interesting. Stand in your light, not back down from challenges, not back down from naysayers, not back down from your own self-doubt. You face it. Ooh, bitch, go ahead. Tell me more. Oh, as it's the two cards that we talked about before we got here were swords, right? So swords talk about communication, the way that we speak and communicate with other people, the way we articulate ourselves and rationalize and intellectualize, right? All those things. So I feel as though you're being very honest. There you go. Which is interesting. Even though I told you, some of you are saying you're taking tap lessons or whatever, instead of saying I'm going to, a Buddhist temple, right? You're avoiding, telling your telling your Muslim family back home, I'm starting to study Buddhism, right? I think eventually that will dissipate, either because you can't maintain the lie or because you become fatigued by the lie. You become fatigued. Thank you. You become fatigued by having to continually pretend that this is what I'm doing. No, here's what I'm really doing. And, you might try to make amends or whatever it is about, the deception of the past. But ultimately, I feel progressively, Scorpio, you're building to this place of not total honesty or total, here it is, with full detail. There will never be full detail with the Scorpio. There will always be something withheld. There will always be something left out of the picture. But ultimately, when addressed, when addressed, I think you're going to become more open to the idea of saying, no, I did do this instead of that. And people may or may not be shocked by it. And that could be the trigger point, or that could be the thing that you're afraid of. Again, the fearsome adversary. Criticism. People having to defend yourself, having to explain yourself. Some of you, again, you have access, or you've had a taste. Like, remember I said, this tastes good. It's like a new fresh herb. It's like a breath of fresh air that you have experienced here. And now that you've had it, you want more of it, and you're wanting to explore that. The more you have more, the more you have more of it, the more you explore it, the more open you are to it, the more questions come, the more criticism comes, the more, curiosity from your friends and family comes. So what are you doing every Thursday? If you're climbing rocks every weekend, Brenda, you're not looking too toned these days. Like, aren't you supposed to be like gaining like muscle mass and all this shit? And you're like, okay, fine, I'm not climbing rocks. I'm doing this. It's like that final break is going to ask you to be strong, or it's going to be a test of your strength, or an example of the strength that you have built. Spiritual strength, I'm more talking about. I don't think you're literally, some of you might be having spiritual enlightenment by going to climb rocks, maybe, okay? But there is sort of this, I don't want to call it a reveal. It's really not. It's more of like, if you're asked, you're no longer going to deny. There it is. If I'm asked, I'm not going to deny. I might not give all of the detail, because again, Scorpio, don't give all the detail. It's kind of your thing, huh? But when asked, you're not going to avoid the subject. You're not going to change the subject. You're not going to give a lie or divert from the truth. You're going to be like, no, I was actually in a prayer circle down at the Buddhist temple. I was actually meditating and doing whatever else. Or I was, if some of you are into tarot, some of you are like, I was actually doing some tarot classes, or I was in work with a client. Some of you might be reading tarot on the side. This is what I do on the side. And your family's like, you do what? Or your friends are like, huh? I read tarot cards on the side. Like, what do you mean? And then like you might pull it up and like give them an example. This is what tarot is. This is what a tarot reading is, and this is what I do. And they're like, what? Where did you learn that? And that's when like this barrage of questioning comes. That's when like this almost endless to some of you, this endless line of questioning comes, and you're just like, this is what I have to do. You are very annoyed by it. I'm going to tell you that. If people come and question you or try to dissuade you, or because the questioning that you're getting, go back here, is not coming from a place where they actually are curious because they want to know and they want to enhance their own knowledge. They're questioning as in to dissuade you, as in to take away, to strip away your interest, or to, what's the word? Give me that damn word. It was just in my head. Debunk, basically, to debunk what you're doing. To throw all kinds of essentially negative viewpoints your way to draw you out of this. But I'm telling you, as I told you here with the High Priestess, you have been getting signs and synchronicities and clarification. You've been getting affirmations for a while. Many of you, it has been months or years. You've been told over and over from a spiritual place, from your guides, your angels, your gods, yourself, whatever you believe in or don't believe in. You have been told already. And then for people to come and criticize you, it's going to annoy you. Because it's like, in some ways, it's going to feel as though the people around you, your friends, your family, whomever, they're more, quote unquote, powerful, but they're not. They're more powerful maybe because there's more of them. Maybe because their words are a lot easier to decipher and understand. As much as I'm talking to you right now, clearly, in a clearly spoken voice, you can hear me. You know, again, going back to that idea of the color purple being significant. Okay, I saw a purple car on Tuesday, and then on Friday, somebody had a purple hoodie. When I was going into the movies, I saw them, like, okay, like, is that really a message, or am I just being crazy? Versus someone who talks to you every day, or every time you text them, they're like, so, are you still climbing rocks, or are you really reading? You know, it's like the frequency, maybe, both in time and intensity. Like frequency in terms of not only time, how often, but frequency like hertz, isn't it hertz? Where discernible levels of audio frequency you can perceive. There are certain audio frequencies that we as human beings cannot hear, right? Did I say see? I meant to say hear. I'm sorry. So dogs, obviously, many of us know, dogs can hear higher tones, higher frequency than humans. That's when those, you know, you get like a dog whistle and like they twerk their head to the side. They're like, huh? We don't hear that shit. But they're like, oh my God, that high-pitched sound. It's like that. So your guides and your synchronicities and the things that you're receiving from this esoteric space with the High Priestess is like a high frequency. You can kind of hear it. It makes some kind of sense to you, but you can't be sure because the other frequencies, the people around you, the society you live in, the culture, the traditions that are around you, whatever it is, are much louder. And therefore you're like, you're in this place where you have to be strong. Stand in your truth. Yeah? Stand in your truth. If you want to live this life, or you want to live your life a certain way, or if you want to express yourself in a certain way, be strong and stand in that and fucking do it. It's just, I mean, I don't know how to express it any simpler. Just do it. Like a Nike commercial back in the 80s or the 90s. Swoosh, just do it. Yeah? So, you're being asked to be strong after this loss, which again is a catalyst for you, whether that is a revelation to you and you feel relieved of that, or whether that's a little bit bittersweet to you. It doesn't really matter. But this catalyst of the loss leads you to a path of strength, leads you to a point in your life, Scorpio, where you start to stand in your truth and reveal who you are. Or even if it's a lot of you, this is a self-revelation. I'm revealing to myself who I am. And then by proxy, the world around me, the people around me will see it. Yeah? Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful development. God damn, that's wonderful. Yeah? Now, what happens next? Girls, guys, my friends, you're on track to be in a position of power, I think. Yes, yes, yes. But first, before you get there, you might have to pay some dues. Interesting. With the Four of Coins, or the Four of Pentacles, excuse me, Four of Pentacles. You might have to pay some dues. Four of Pentacles is not usually about paying, and I've seen this card, I think, at least once in February, and I didn't view it this way. But I feel some of you will have to pay your dues. Either actually pay, like some of you might pay to like go on a retreat, you know? Some of you might pay, like I said, for counsel, you know, with the High Priestess, if it's an external person, which again, I think is just not a catalyst. I think if the High Priestess is an external person in your life right now, they are a tool. Not a tool like in a negative way, like you can't trust them or they're like a douchebag. No, they're a tool as in like, eventually you won't need them. You know, and that kind of makes sense. Any type of spiritual leader or guru, any teacher that you have in your life, is not supposed to be there all the time. Eventually, you have to walk away, not walk away, but you quote unquote graduate, right? Isn't that the point of school? Elementary school, you graduate to middle school. Middle school, you graduate to junior high. Junior high, you graduate to high school. High school, you graduate to adulthood, college, junior college, though technical school, whatever. And then once you graduate college, then you graduate. It's like always, you're always up leveling. So there's this idea of your attachment, if you have one. If you don't, that's okay too. If you have some kind of attachment or relationship with an external person that is represented by the high priestess, eventually you will graduate away from that person. And not to say you leave them and you never speak to them. It's just like they eventually, the student should always be able to eventually out teach or out know the teacher. Does that make sense? Like, isn't that the point? Right? So you might have to pay your dues in terms of maybe some of you will go into work specifically with a mentor, or specifically work with, if it's not a traditional therapist, it might be a holistic therapist, right? Many of those are out there. I would love to work with a few of them, but you might work with someone who's a little bit more holistic with their approach to therapy and family dynamics, or family history, family traumas, or mental health, or whatever you're working on, right? Or again, still a spiritual teacher, somebody who's in this space, So you might pay to work with this person. My therapy sessions cost $200. Here you go. Here's the $200 from Scorpio to you, spiritual leader. Maybe. In a more abstract sense, the paying of the dues, I feel, is going to come attached to those difficult conversations, or that resistance that other people put up in your face, that reluctance and denial in some cases. Some people are straight up denying that you're having this experience. Some people, oh my God. Some of you are surrounded, sure. Surrounded? Okay, yeah. Some of you are surrounded by people that deny. Oh, there it is. Some of you are surrounded by people who deny this. Now, that more works for people where this was not about a particular physical loss. This could more about the betrayal. Thank you. Some of you are surrounded by people who deny betrayal that you experienced or other people experienced, yeah? And you will pay dues to that interaction, meaning you have to feed it. In whatever sense we're talking about with this Four of Pentacles in this specific deck, I am usually drawn to how this hand, the human hand, is feeding the mechanical hand. It's almost like feeding a meter, or again, paying a cost to something. You must engage, or you will engage, if not must, you probably will engage in some type of discourse, some type of communication, some type of exchange of energies, or exchange of ideas, exchange of whatever, that will tax you. All this talk like in monetary, thank you, senses, thank you. You're going to be paying a cost, like paying taxes, like, oh, here we go, I got to do this. I have no choice. If I don't do this, then, if you don't pay your taxes, you get fined. Or if you're Wesley Snipes, you kind of dodge a bullet, right? But it's something here you must pay. Or maybe that is kind of like a talking point in some of the discussions. Must pay. Maybe some of you have issues, or there's this issue or complications surrounding retribution because of abandonment or betrayal. Maybe somebody rolls back into your life after a 10-year absence. I'm not sensing that exclusively, but let's say that happened. Grandpa, whoever, who left the family back in, 99, all of a sudden, 20 years later, I'm back. Say what? Why? Why are you here? And you will have to pay attention, possibly pay time or money. Maybe this person rolls back into your life. They have some type of debt that needs to be restored or balanced out, or you pay time, money, and effort to go visit them, after 20 years being like totally gone. Like I told you, somebody pops up in your life. It's like, I'm back, but I happen to be in jail. And this jail happens to be, in Arizona, and you live in Vermont. So now I'm going to go all the way to Arizona to visit my grandpa who's in prison. Okay, here comes a plane ticket, you know, something like that. So you have to pay in some type of way, monetarily, energetically, emotionally, in terms of your in terms of things that you value, your time. You might have to spend more time talking to a person or delving into a situation when that you may not want to. But I'm telling you, Scorpio, you have the strength on your side to do it. You have the strength to do it. You have been building to this moment. Yeah. So something has to be faced. Something has to be paid attention to. You will. This is costly in either a material sense or a spiritual sense. This is costly to you. However, what you get on the other side, the big bread and butter here, or the big honcho here, is what you get is the Emperor. This is you. It's not you in terms of tarot. This is Aries, major arcana for Aries. You could be dealing with an Aries, but you don't have to be, you know the spiel. But this is you. This is who you become. You become the fucking Emperor, my friend. Good for you. Good for you. You become a person of power, of discernment, of autonomy. Yes. Of autonomy. Yes. What's that? Yes. You don't do anything you don't want to do. And that might sound selfish or that might sound egotistical, but that's the point of the Emperor. The Emperor becomes put in his throne, or he has access to this throne after hard work. This wasn't handed to him. This wasn't some, oh, you are the heir, you're the heir, so now you inherit the throne. No. This Emperor worked their way to the throne. You are working your way to this place of autonomy, of self-possession, of self-control in some cases. I don't know what that's about. Self-control? Oh, okay, yeah. Some of you have felt like decisions in your life have always been made for you, or you've always been influenced to make decisions that weren't necessarily in your best interest. They were maybe in the best interest of your family, or maybe in the best interest to move yourself further along in your career. You may have sacrificed certain things of yourself, you may have put certain beliefs on the back burner, something like that. But now you live, again, stronger, more clearly in your truth. You own who you are. You own what you believe. You do not make bones about it. And if anybody has something to say, they can leave your empire. Right? That's not to be, dismissive of them. It's not to be punitive towards them. It's not to make anybody seem lesser than you. It really is because you've come to a point, Scorpio, where this very physical, self-possessed, physical as in like here on earth, the Emperor is very present and makes decisions in a non-esoteric way, right? On the opposite side, you have the High Priestess. She's not his equal. The Empress is his equal. But she is sort of his counter. She's like the mirror image of him on the other side. She has a lot of power. A lot of power. The Emperor has a lot of power. These are two things that you're trying to harmonize. Thank you. You're trying to synthesize in your life. And yes, give it. Come on. Look what's in the middle. That deep betrayal, the abandonment, the loss is in the middle. In order to synchronize, in order to get these two things to come together, your esoteric power, your spiritual power, and this power and the self-possession that you have here in this world, there's no, backing away. There's no lies. There's no manipulation. There's no deceit with the Emperor. He's very honest of who he is. If you honestly want to come out and say, I am this is the type of energy you want on your side. If you want to say, I am this, and declare it in a high level is in like higher dimensions, different dimensions, whatever, you want the High Priestess on your side. You want both of these energies to come together. How do you do that? The bridge between is the loss. The bridge between is that catalyst moment, whether it was yesterday or 58 years ago, 2 years ago, I don't give a shit. That is the catalyst moment. You don't in many of your cases, you may not realize it now, but I'm telling you, that is it. That is it. So, a lot of things, as is your experience, Scorpio, are coming with high cost. It's not easy. This path, this story is not a cakewalk. Okay? But I feel you have the perseverance, you have the ability, you have the support, both in this world and out of this world, to do it. What is the barrier at this point? Possibly your own belief, letting go of certain long-standing traditions or conditionings that you've been surrounded by. but you are on track to do it. So just do it. Yes! Come on. What's your outcome? The devil in reverse. Son of a bitch. Come on. You have done it. I don't know when and where it's going to show up, but you've done this. You've not done it forever. Let's go ahead and give the caveat here. You've not done it forever, but whatever this is, whatever situation this whole reading has pertained to, you have already defeated it. Even if you don't see it manifested in your physical world yet, you have defeated it. Devil in reverse. Major arcana for Capricorn. Some of you could be dealing with a Capricorn, but you don't have to be. I'm just showing you this card in the upright so you can get used to the artwork. Oh shit. I'm like throwing it all over the place. There we go. In the reverse, we have a lessening of this energy. It doesn't disappear forever. That's what it doesn't disappear. All right, Scorpio, I don't know exactly where I cut off, but I'm not going to go back and watch that. I'm just going to continue on. So whatever frustration and sadness and anger and disappointment or disillusionment that you had when this card or this energy appeared in your life in the upright, I think it was either at the same time, almost concurrently, or just before you started to get in touch with this high priestess energy. Again, whether that's an external person or whether that is a personal revelation that has come about in your life as of late. Before then, you had this devil energy in the upright. You felt powerless, you felt confused, you felt fatigued, or maybe not fatigued, but tied to a fatiguing situation, or tied to fatiguing energy, tied to purposeless or senseless overgiving. Yes, because look, as I've mentioned a few times that this card has come out for February, you see the two men at the bottom. They feed the fire which powers the devil, right? They feed the fire which the devil needs to survive. Some of you are realizing that's what you were doing. You were feeding the flame that was ultimately keeping you trapped, ultimately keeping you stuck, ultimately keeping you down and defeated and burdened, right? You have this in the reverse in your damn outcome. This is so good for you. You're not, most of the Scorpios that I'm connecting to right now, you're not so short-sighted to know that this is forever. But I need someone to be clear on that. This is not forever. You know, this is a glimpse into what is possibly happening. I feel in many of your cases it will happen. This is a glimpse of what will transpire. But it's not without effort, it's not without trying, and it's not without some type of resistance or blowback or, you know, some type of future drama, right? But for now, you are definitely on a path, whether you understand it or not. It's, in many cases, it's going to be inexplicable, or it's going to be so serendipitous, right? I told you. With that in the middle, it seems really impossible, but I'm telling you, it's serendipity in a way it is, because this allows these two to marry or come together, right? To meld. There you go. That's the word. Meld together. The Emperor and the High Priestess. Once they meld, once they meet, once they come into partnership, I'm talking in terms of energy. I'm not sensing this is about you and a particular person. In some cases, maybe it would be, but I don't think so. I think it's more about energetically within you. Once these two sides of yourself meet, once whatever exists here in the mundane 3D earthbound world meets with what exists in the 4D, 5D, 6, 7, 8, 9D worlds, right? Whatever exists beyond the curtain that the High Priestess sits in front of, right? Once those two things come together and you understand them, or you work with them and you do it in such a way that you can't be contested, that you can't be controlled, that you can't be manipulated, or it's such a revelation, because whatever this devil energy is, the people around you, the circumstances, your own mindset, your own beliefs, turned on its head, kicked on its ass, out the door. It's a very, oh man, it's so, it's very tasty. To go back to what we're having here. It's a very tasty experience for you, Scorpio. I mean, I wish I had a better word to describe it besides tasty, but I can't even describe it. My heart is very excited. My solar plexus is like, you know, reinvigorated. We'll say that instead of tasty, maybe reinvigorated. Something like that. Okay? Overall energy for February. Ha! Look at that. Well, in some of your cases, it is about a partnership because you have a match. And I rarely give a shit about matches. I'm going to say that. I rarely do. But the Queen of Swords and then the King of Swords is right behind her. And then the Page of Wands. Anyway. But there's a match here. In some of your cases, that's very important. I don't know in what context we're talking about a match, but it is very important. And I rarely say that. But they're like, you see the match? And I said, yes, I see the match. But your overall energy is the Queen of Swords, regardless of the King. I'm only pointing him out because in some of your cases, this is about a particular match or partnership that is integral or very important to this situation. That's all I'm going to say, because I can't go into all the different ways that would pertain. But as the overall energy, Queen of Swords, incredible honesty and discernment. Clearing of channels. Interesting. What's that mean? Clearing of channels. Clearing of channels. What does that mean? Wow. You're cutting. Okay. That's so specific. I'm going to try and translate this image. What they're showing me is with this big sword that this queen is carrying, she's going into a cavern or a cave, right? And there's like all these spider webs and vines and stuff in the way. And she's in here doing this with the sword. She's like slashing it away. Like, oh, like if you were like in a jungle and you had a machete and you had to like clear the brush and to like clear away all like the greenery to get to wherever you're going. Many of us have seen that in like adventure movies and, you know, like an Indiana Jones kind of thing. So it's like that. Clearing the channels. Going back to what I said is, as an example, some of you are literally like going into classes or you're looking up meditations to clear your chakras to get, okay, some of you are looking on how to get in touch with your spirit guides, how to get in touch with your higher self. Google that shit, YouTube it, get in partnership with someone. You're investigating that. And this energy is allowing you to do it because this is efficiency. This is efficiency with communication. Queens and kings are the masters of their suits, right? And this queen does it, I think, a little bit more readily, or she's a lot more determined than the King of Swords sometimes, I think. But this is what it feels like. It feels like a determined side of you is emerging that says, I don't want to be confused. I don't want to be guessing. I don't want to be doubtful, or I don't want other people to sow seeds of doubt with me. I want the truth. I'm going to get the truth. And in terms of applying the Queen of Swords to a very spiritual, metaphysical reading that you've had today, Scorpio, I think it's kind of interesting because she's not typically a very spiritual queen. Like that's usually the wands or the cups, right? Pentacles and swords. The queens are like, we know of that stuff, but we're like really more interested in like the real world, essentially. But she today is really helping you clear the channel, clear a path, clear the way to getting into this metaphysical, esoteric, you know, even occultist energy that, or mindset or experience or understanding that is going to serve you. And in some of your cases, that's going to be flying in the face of the traditional values and lifestyles or beliefs that you are accustomed to, okay? But the Queen of Swords, communication again, would be interested. There's something about expanding on what you understand and know already. And she's not afraid to do it. Thank you. That's what it is. Fearlessness. Fearlessness of expanding what you know. Scorpio. What a reading. Wow. Oof. I haven't been, like, most of the readings have been about, you know, things going on here in the real world. Yours is very much a very strong bridge or a very clear gap between the real world and quote unquote the other world or the other worlds, and trying to get those two places to meet, trying to get those two aspects or understandings or energies, whatever we're talking about, come together. Wow, that's so different than all the other readings I've done so far. So as a reader, I appreciate this. And as a viewer, hopefully you have appreciated this. Scorpio, if you like it, like button is down below. If you want to leave a comment, you can do so by typing it up in the comment section down below. Let me know how this resonated with you. That would be amazing. Scorpios are usually very expressive on my channel, so hopefully a few of you will share something here. In terms of sharing, you can share the video, let other people know you like my stuff. If you got a fellow Scorpio friend and you're like, hey man, this is our life, go ahead and let them know. And if you haven't subscribed, my friends, go ahead and subscribe. Do it right now. Come on. I've enjoyed getting to meet so many new people, and doing any of all those things shows support for the channel in lieu of actually making donations to the channel or ordering personal readings with me. If you want to help a girl along, you can do any and all of those things. It would all be appreciated, okay? Scorpio, I will be back soon doing the mid-Februaries. I'm probably going to bring back the no communications in February as well, so you have those two to look forward to. And I hope to see you in the future, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Take care.